Hey now, this is Mike Gilbert, the host of the Mike and JD Show and host of the Brace for Impact. And this is a little bit different. This is not like a breaking news show. This is just me randomly hitting up the Patreon because I saw something and I felt the need to talk about it. It's not even like no news broke or anything like that. And I want to start this episode off with a giant confession. And you might know what I'm about to say because you're seeing the title of this audio, or you're eventually watching or listening to this on YouTube down the road. And I have to confess that I watched MLW. I'm not proud of it, so if you guys are going to beat me up for it, go ahead and take your cheap shots, you bastards. I am not proud of it, but I did do it, and here's why. So on Saturday night, I watched most of Collision on Saturday night, and I woke up in the morning. It was like super early. My family was sleeping in, so it was nice. I just had my pot of coffee, and there wasn't like I'm not backed up on any of my shows that I like to watch or anything like that. So I typically watch like an hour or two of television before my family gets up, and I'll just drink coffee. And so Sunday morning, I finished Collision. I saw the boring Adam Copeland promo with Janice, the nail 4x4. And so I got out of that, and I just kind of went to YouTube just to see what was going on YouTube. And a recommendation was made by the YouTube algorithm that I watch MLW Once Upon a Time in New York. Now, I have not seen MLW in a long time, not since the first episode of when they were on Reels before they got canceled by Reels. And that episode was with Enzo Amore. And the audio was just crap and the video was terrible. And I never gave it another chance after that. And before that, it had been a long time before that since I had watched MLW. Now, going back, longer than that, before the pandemic, I liked MLW. I found it to be a very good product. I think like 2018, 2019, JD said that he covered it for one of the websites he used to work for. And he said it was like his favorite promotion during that time. And I remember it was like very good. Then WWE and AEW poached a lot of their talent, like MJF and Swerve Strickland. And, they had Brian Pillman. He ended up going to AEW. And, I'll say this about Court Bauer. He has a very good eye for young talent that is inexperienced. Some might even say he exploits young talent who's really inexperienced, but he does have an eye for young talent that has never really been on television before. Case in point, I think Fatu absolutely kind of made a name for himself, not only for what he's done on the indies, but for what he did in MLW. Same thing with Hammerstone. Hammerstone's in TNA now, and he absolutely made his name by being kind of a top guy in MLW. So there's a lot of guys like that have come through the MLW promotion, and Court Bauer has been able to give them their first ever, like a little, look, it's not, getting a ton of exposure, but you're getting some exposure. And Court is very good at selling tickets. He's very good at like local marketing and filling up his arenas. I think at one point, he had like 2,000 people in Cicero Stadium, although some people cast doubt on that number. I don't know if that's ever been verified, but that's the reported number that MLW likes to put out. So he's always done a very good job of getting people to his shows, and he's always done a very good job of finding and developing young talent. And so I was like, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and give it a shot, because I saw Matt Riddle and Davey Boy Smith Jr. on the cover of the thumbnail. And that's if you're watching on YouTube, that's what you're seeing right now. And they're in the Melrose Ballroom. And then, of course, I saw Dario Cueto, who I believe is Cesar Duran in MLW. I saw him on the poster. And, of course, the new World Heavyweight Champion is Satoshi Kojima, who beat the former champion, Alex Kane. Now, I have to admit, other than a couple of gifts here and there, I've not actually watched an Alex Kane match. So I'm actually getting exposed to him for the first time. And so what I do want to say about it, like just right away, I thought overall it was very bad. And I'm not trying to say it was like very bad in comparison to AEW, WWE, TNA, because it's not like apples to apples. They're working with a smaller budget, although they did just get like 20 mil. They just got 20 mil from their WWE lawsuit. So which is probably why we're seeing Matt Riddle here and Mads Kruger's coming back, and Tom Lawler is back, and Richard Holiday is also back. Selina De La Renta, she left MLW a couple years ago and thought that she was going to get signed somewhere. Now she's back and she's feuding with Cesar Duran, and so they have some money now, but probably not enough to splurge on production, which is ultimately like the biggest downfall of the promotion. The audio makes it very difficult to enjoy. Now, the audio is actually better than what I saw in that Vice episode. The Vice episode is some of the worst shit I've ever seen. So like just production wise, the audio quality and just the overall production was just not great. I will say, however, the camera work in this promotion is much better than what we're seeing in TNA, because at least the camera guys and the director of whoever's directing the program knows how to color balance the cameras, or knows how to at least make sure that the local volunteers from the high school news team or whatever's going on are have color corrected the cameras they're using. I think is it Go Pro Wrestling that actually does these. So they're actually they can actually shoot it very well. Now the audio is just horrendous. From the announcers to when they're in the ring, and the ring announcer to the backstage stuff, it's all very bad. Which you're gonna get whenever it's a smaller budget production, but it really is just bad. No, there's no two ways about it. So I also thought overall the acting on this show was very bad. Specifically with a lot of the younger talent that I was seeing early on, like the Ryan Gosselin. Bro, that name is way too on the nose. You got to do something about that name. If you just went with Brett Gosselin, I think you'd be fine. But because you put Ryan in there and you're trying to be BRG, which is not even a cool acronym, it's not like DDP, DDP is a cool acronym. BRG is not. Berg, come on. I thought and then a lot of the female talent, you could tell they've never been on television before. They're just not TV ready. A lot of their performances were not very good. And I'll be honest, Selina De La Renta is worse than when I saw her a couple years ago. She has just regressed. Cesar Duran, though, I am really surprised that a company like a bigger budgeted company has not brought him in. He's fantastic. He's always been fantastic. He was incredible in Lucha Underground. And when they brought him over here, they tried to recreate Lucha Underground with the Azteca Underground, and it just didn't work. But he specifically is a very good performer. Now, he's also a professional actor, so obviously he's going to be much better than everybody else. But you could tell when he's on screen, there's levels to what they're doing, and he's levels above everybody that's on here. But MSL, who I believe is the executive vice president or something. He's Court Bauer's errand boy. I think he books the talent. He stinks. He is by far one of, if not the worst, televised wrestling personality that I have seen in a long time. And this guy's been around forever. But he's not a brand new guy. With some of the other younger talent, like I said, Ryan Gosselin and Love Doug, who stinks, right? Dumb gimmick he's got. And some of the other female performers, they're all just very young people, and they're just not there yet. They're developing their skills here in MLW, and this is a good place to do that. So the fact they stink, I'm giving them a pass. They're just not very good. I'm going to say it, but I'm not going to be too hard on them because they're learning. All right. MSL's been around for 20 years. He was around in the original MLW. He fucking sucks. Some of his stuff, it was just and I know he's trying to be annoying, and it worked, but it worked to where I don't want to see that piece of shit on my television anymore. He sucks so bad. He's an embarrassment. He really is. He looks terrible, right? His voice is awful. He's not clever. He doesn't deliver his lines well. Everything about MSL just sucks. And the fact that he is the lead heel on this TV makes it me not actually want to watch MLW anymore. Now, fortunately for them, War Chamber's coming up, in April, I believe, in St. Peter's. It was April. Might be the end of March. I can't remember, but it's, War Chamber's coming up in St. Petersburg, Florida. And I'm a sucker for war games, and so I'm gonna go ahead and check that out. And I'll probably do another review right here, as long as they put it on YouTube for free. I'll probably start watching a little bit of it, because I did feel like they had some interesting talent. But like I said, mostly very bad. I think there were actually 2 good matches, and then outside, and then like they just had a ton of angles, and like 2 of the angles that they're working concurrently are 3. They have 3 angles working concurrently that are basically the same, and they're not executing them very well. But so I'm gonna go to the WrestleZone report here. So shout out Matt Black from WrestleZone. So show opens up. They did a recap of Intimidation Games. I did not get to see Intimidation Games, so if you liked it, let me know. As Cesar Duran comes out on stage and says he's back and bigger than ever before, Duran runs down Selina De La Renta. So Cesar Duran, and I'm learning this in real time, by the way, and De La Renta are feuding. Duran announces he's building a new temple for Azteca Lucha in Chicago. The crowd booed because they're in New York. So Azteca Lucha or Aztec Underground, I don't know what they're calling it. It's coming back. It says on May 11th, he'll run the most spectacular Super Lucha event that has ever existed. They'll probably sell a lot of tickets for that, especially with all the CMLL talent. And makes a challenge to Selina to bring her best luchadors to this event, and they will determine who has the power in MLW. Duran's about to introduce a new women's luchador in his group that will take MLW Featherweight Championship from Janakai. I can't pronounce her name, sorry. But he's interrupted by Zayda and Ryan Gosselin. So this Zayda and Ryan, they're terrible. they're awful. I get it. They're young. They're learning. I'm not going to be too crazy hard on them, but it was brutal. Zayda says she doesn't care who Duran has because she's next in line for a shot. Okay. Then Cesar asks Zayda who the hell she is and says her presence is disrespectful to him. Zayda says they got off on the wrong foot, but she wants to know why all these lucha promoters are so shady. She got a point. Duran says it's because they don't deal with babies. Zayda begins to run down Selina De La Renta, who shows up on the Tron behind them and tells them to all be quiet. Out comes Selina De La Renta and says that Zayda and Gosselin are the reason that people say blondes are dumb. Terrible line, but she thinks that might be a compliment because these 2 are more along the lines of brain dead. Selina accepts Duran's challenge and says once she's done with him in Chicago. Okay, so this lasted forever. If you're listening to me and I'm talking forever, it's because this whole segment lasted forever. It took a long time to get a match in the ring. But finally, we get to the first match of the evening. And it's Ryan Gosselin defeating Love Doug. Love Doug was embarrassing. Ichiban. Marcus Mathers. Okay, Marcus Mathers might have something. Dyln McKay, not from 90210. So that, again, another name that's like right on the nose. Like, okay, Marcus Mathers. Clearly, they're doing an Eminem thing with Marshall Mathers. Marcus Mathers, I get it. They're being cute. And then Dyln McKay. So Luke Perry, obviously, from 90210. Ryan Gosselin won. I was not a fan of this match. I just did not think it was very good. And then out comes Bad Dude Tito, whom they actually promoted as Big Bad Tito, but he comes out and they actually called him his rightful name. This was not much to the match, but Bad Dude Tito should be the world champion of this promotion, or if they're not going to do it, he needs to go to TNA and beat Moose for the title. He's fucking great. He is fantastic. The guy looks amazing. The guy can work his ass off. He's athletic. He's been around for 20 years, you know? Like, he knows the business. He's been to New Japan. They got to do something with this guy. MLW, make him the champion right now. Have him beat Kojima on the next show. Okay. And then a video pack. So a lot of video packages played. Unagi Sayaka is coming in. So that's cool. We'll face Janakai for the MLW Featherweight Championship. Okay. AJ Francis, Dollar General himself with MSL, defeated Mr. Thomas. This was not very good. But look, they're bringing in like bigger names. So they're clearly spending some of that WWE cheddar that they got from the lawsuit. So kudos to them. And then Delmi Exo defeated Zayda. Again, not very good. So just like 2 performers that are just not ready, you know, but you could tell that they're just like learning on the job. So Their new partnership was formed. Cesar Duran and Delmi Exo shake hands after the match, forming a new alliance against Selina De La Renta. Zayda gets on the mic and screams she didn't lose. Zayda says people are blind because she got screwed. This brings out John Akai, who sends out Zayda to the ground with another thing that's lasted a long time. Okay, so now we get to like an actual pretty good match. And that was Matt Riddle versus Davey Boy Smith Jr. And that was weird because Davey Boy Smith is a heel here. He's World Titan Federation. But at the beginning of the match, he played a babyface and shook his hand. And really, there wasn't really a ton of fuckery either. It was just like a good wrestling match. And I've always had a soft spot for Davey Boy Smith Jr. People think I'm crazy. Now, Matt Riddle, allegedly is a total scumbag. But I've always been a fan of his too. And so maybe I'm just hoping he's innocent. He probably isn't though. But I'm just kind of like overlooking it because I just happen to think he's talented. So, but I did enjoy the match. I thought it was pretty good. Matt Riddle won with a roll up. He came out with the television title from New Japan, so that was pretty cool. Once he had that title, you knew he wasn't losing. So, and then Josh Bishop, who's got those Decadura Ballin pimples. So shout out W Morrissey. Tried to attack Riddle after the match, but Riddle laid him out. So Bishop is a part of the World Titan Federation. And then Court Bauer comes out on the stage, and he says he has something special planned. And before he can say what his big announcement is, Contra. So Mads Kruger is bringing back Contra and attacked him. This was awful. This was just so campy and hokey. I know what they're trying to do, but they're already doing it with Selina De La Renta and Cesar Duran, kind of like two warring promotions, feuding. And then now MLW is being attacked by Contra, but they're already fighting off World Titan Federation. It's like, you got a lot of going on, and it's kind of all same. And they attacked him, and they attacked a bunch of wrestlers who came out to try to save him. And then they immediately cut to a commercial and went to the next match like nothing happened. And so the execution just wasn't very good. It really wasn't. And then of course like they tried to do some music and like the camera cuts and the zooms and like they tried to distort the video, and yeah, it just very poorly executed. But I get what they're trying to do, and I'm gonna have a little rant after I'm done with this. But Star Jr. with Selina De La Renta defeated Magnus with Cesar Duran. So both, I believe they're both CMLL. I'm not too familiar with their talent, but Star Jr. So this was another really good match. I happen to really enjoy this match. I don't know much about CMLL. I've watched a lot more AAA just because it's been more accessible here in the States. I have not, because it's been like Fight TV, and I used to run contests for it and stuff like that. So, but I'm gonna start checking out more CMLL because AAA is a shit show. So these cats from CMLL, they can fucking go. And then Rocky Romero shown laid out in the stairway. Cesar Duran placed his quarters over his eyes. Now it's time for the main event. Main event was Kojima, Alex Kane, and Okamura defeating Filthy Tom, Richard Holiday, and Josh Bishop of the World Titan Federation. Kojima hit Bishop with the lariat. So there's not really much to this match, to be honest with you. It was okay. Everybody in the match is pretty professional. So again, it was okay. Josh Bishop is green, I would say. But this is a good place for him to learn to become a pro. So it was okay. Then after the match, the WTF attacks, and they also show Akira and Jake Crist battling Ricky, Shane Page, and Sami Callihan on the rooftop of the building. Second Gear crew arrives. So they got like a brawl on the building, brawl in the ring. Cesar Duran and Selina De La Renta got their lucha feud going on. You got this big like Ohio versus everything, whatever, Pro Wrestling Revolver, GCW feud going on the roof. And then you got World Titan Federation and Second Gear crew like warring in the ring. They got so much going on, but I'm going to compliment them. I didn't feel like some of this stuff was executed very well, clearly. But it like the stuff that they were trying is a lot more interesting than what I'm seeing on TNA. If they executed it better, I think that it would be like a better show. But like the younger talent that they have is not very good. Production's way worse, right? And so some of the acting is bad, but they tried to fit like 50 pounds of shit in a 10-pound bag. And so it diluted everything, right? So like that Court Bauer moment where like the president of the company's being assaulted by Contra, who's coming back, and it's supposed to be a big deal. And then they just kick to the next match. And then they bring it up a little bit later, like, oh, we're so devastated. But they didn't act devastated during the match, right? They should have carried this heavy feeling throughout the end of it, but they didn't do it. Or that's how they should have ended the show, right? But they didn't do that, to leave a cliffhanger to say, hey, what happened to Court Bauer? And then it leads into next week. But instead, we still have 2 more matches left, and then we're running another fucking angle at the end of it. So that was a tough part about it. And maybe it's because like it's supposed to be divided up over multiple episodes of television. I get that, but then maybe just that's what you should release on YouTube. Don't release the entire event if that's what you're going to do. Because I think that like it's probably going to be divided up over 3 episodes and put on to BN. But I saw the whole thing. So like they had 3 different show closing angles happening on the same episode, and the same like 90 minutes that I watched. And so that it diluted everything. And it's a lot of same type of stuff. But I get what they're trying to do. Like they're fucking going for it. And I respect it. Even if it didn't work, I respect it. Because you're not really getting that. Like, the system did like a beatdown of Nemeth, but it's very templated, right? It's very paint by numbers. But at least in MLW, like shit ain't working, but they're going for it. So I'm going to give them kudos for that, because the creativity is there. And I think that if they applied that creativity with some better talent and better production, then it would probably be executed a lot better. But they just don't have it. They just don't. And they're probably never going to get it. And that's the sad part. But yeah, I just felt like they did just way too much on this episode. Way too much. Too much bad, not enough good. So thumbs down. I'm not recommending it, although I did like the Riddle and Davey Boy Smith Jr. match, and I did like the Star Jr. and Magnus match. In fact, it made me want to see more of CMLL. And of course, the inclusion of CMLL on AEW is also, making me want to watch more CMLL. So I'm like into CMLL now. So I think that's awesome. So kudos to MLW for that. And but yeah, overall, not a good show, but I get what they're trying to do. They're trying hard. They're trying new stuff. They're going for it. They're taking big swings, and good on them for that. But I cannot sit here and tell you that it was a good show. But what I can tell you is that if they release War Chamber on YouTube, I'll be right back here on Patreon talking about War Chamber, and I'll do a full rundown. And next time I'll try to be more prepared. And if there's MLW news prior to that, I'll do like basically like a Brace for Impact. If you guys like it. If you don't fucking like it, if you're just not going to listen, then I just won't do it. But if you guys like it, I will do it. I absolutely will. You got my word on that. So again, on Patreon, I'm going to take some chances, but this was just kind of like an accident that happened to where I just ended up watching it. So I was like, okay, I'm just going to stick with this so I can talk about it on Patreon. So I hope you guys like it. This is not an MLW podcast. I'm not going to start like an MLW podcast, but maybe kind of like how JD does his JD Oliva project. Maybe I'll do some side stuff. In fact, I started the episode with a Brace for Impact music because I just don't have any other music. Maybe I'll get like a different theme and play some stuff, man. If you guys dig it, I'll keep up with it. I'm not going to fucking watch NWA. Not unless I get like a $25 tier. That's the only way I'm doing NWA. You guys got to pay for that shit. But all right, I love you guys. Thank you for being Patreon subscribers. I really appreciate you. Please send out the word about the podcast. And if you like this MLW review, tell people about it, and maybe they'll come over and listen to it. Yeah, even if you're like, maybe I'm missing something with MLW. Maybe you guys can educate me a little bit. And I'm just gonna start, getting more into MLW. I'll try. But yeah, that's gonna do it for me this time. And until next time, mahalo.